Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Hook, for being here today. As a veteran of the Iraq War, I sat face-to-face in the courtroom with members of al-Qaeda, terrorists who had made and planted IEDs, and murderers. I saw firsthand the successes and the failures of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. While our political, military, economic, and technological advantages are unmatched, Iran remains one of the greatest threats destabilizing the globe. As the world's largest state sponsor of terror, Iran continues to sow chaos in Yemen through the Houthi proxies, continues to fund Hezbollah in Lebanon and across the world, continues to prop up the Assad regime in Syria, and chants death to America in its capital of Tehran. Mr. Hook, can you explain the larger strategic benefits and goals of the U.S.-Saudi relationship and the negative impacts of abandoning that relationship as it pertains to U.S. national security interests in Iran?
I think you see our foreign policy emerging quite clearly in Riyadh. The president's first trip overseas was to Saudi Arabia. They had brought together, I want to say, 55 Arab Muslim nations, one of the largest gatherings that anyone can recall. The president spoke, King Salman spoke, and we talked very much about the need to confront extremism and to counter extremism. And we also want to, as part of burden sharing, America, the experiences that you described, there are so many people who can talk about that in our military. And we are doing everything we can to expand burden sharing. And that requires improving the capabilities of our regional partners so that they can be a counterweight to Iran. And that reduces the burden on us to provide the levels that we've done historically. And so whether it's Saudi Arabia or UAE or Jordan, Israel, a number of countries in the region, we very much want to see them in a position of strength and in sovereignty. Iraq, we very much want to see Iraq strong, stable, and sovereign. We want the Iraqi military to have a monopoly on military force. We do not want to see the PMF, especially those that Qasem Soleimani organizes, trains, and equips, to be stronger. We don't need two states within a state. We don't need two militaries within a state. That is what we have in Lebanon. This is the foreign policy agenda of Iran. It is to try to create two militaries and two states within a state, and to stoke sectarian identities, catalyze sectarian identities, and dissolve national identities. When we talk about how Iran destabilizes the Middle East, this is what we're talking about. Iran pours sort of this, it adds this religious dimension to political conflicts, which has increased bloodshed and suffering. And so, to the extent that our policy is denying Iran the revenue and a lot of the capabilities it has to support these proxies, that improves the situation in the Middle East.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. I yield to my colleague from New York.
Thank you. Mr. Hook, so is it true that in February